Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining. Today we are meeting in the Analyst Talk 7 with Aytaç Mahsumzadeh. I'm Nijat. I'm one co-founder of the Nexus ADV and the Pronalyst Hub, which is inside of the Nexus ADV and is a community for the analysts. And we're currently creating a, let's say, hub, a place where all the analysts can meet and engage with each other. And this meeting is organized by us as a community event, talks for the analysts, for all people who are interested in analytics, in project management, data, and so on. So I know her for about 5 years, and we worked in the Young European Ambassadors as a YA in the Universe East, and she managed more than 60 what's big and small projects, and she's very good about the project management, and I would say about the communication as well. Her communication still is very soft and very, there are some people that you can't, anytime you can't argue with them. Like Aytaç is that person, like real project manager for me, that she always can handle your situation and your talk and situation as well, and can manage. So yes, Aytaç, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nijat. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here today. I'm really happy that Nijat has created such a beneficial platform for young professionals as yourself, to learn and grow together. He already mentioned, but just briefly, I'm Aytaç, currently working and developing myself in risk management in one of the agencies of United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland. Also, I've managed many large and small scale projects, and I love them. And currently, actually, as a member of PMI Switzerland chapter, I actively join trainings, seminars on project management. This is just my passion. And today, we'll dive into project management and risk. We will have risky topics, I know. Our audience isn't just those joining live. This session will be recorded and used as a resource for many others. With that in mind, I've structured it to be clear, easy to follow, and understandable by diverse groups. So firstly, let me ask you first, how many of you have been part of a project that didn't go as planned? Like maybe deadline slipped, scope changed, or unexpected risks popped up? Because this is what exactly we are going to talk here today. Do you have such experience? Like something went wrong. And it's not like you were the project manager. Maybe you were just, at some point, you were the member of the team. You have such experience?
No one.
Oh, good. You all had successful projects. That's actually something good. So you're good risk managers. I'm happy to hear that. But I had those kind of experiences when I was managing the project, or I was like at some point involved. Let me change the slides. Please let me know if this works for you. Yes? Okay, perfect. So let's start with the big picture. Why does project management actually matter for analysts? Analysts are actually the bridge between business needs and technical execution. You ensure that projects align with business goals. But guess what? Even the best analysis means nothing if the project execution falls apart. Think about it like business requirements evolve, stakeholders change their ideas, their mind, and unexpected risks arise. Without a solid project management, teams end up in a chaos. But when, and then business analytics, I always struggle with saying that word. But analysis understands project management. They can align business requirements with realistic project plans, because you know everything in advance and you analyze them. They identify risks early and help actually to mitigate them. They improve collaboration between stakeholders and project teams, which means here communication is important and the key. with project management, I wanted to start with some kind of fundamentals, just in case someone needs. Let's break down the basics of project management. Project management is the art of getting things done, like efficiently despite constraints like time, budget, and scope. And its core, project management is about achieving a goal within a defined scope, time, and budget. It's the structured approach to getting things done effectively, ensuring teams stay aligned and delivering value without like unnecessary chaos. Here I put like a destination. Think of it like planning a trip. Like think of project management like planning a trip. We have a destination, which is project goal, itinerary, project plan, budget, limited resources. Or if you are flying from, let's say, Istanbul airport, unforeseen delays, or maybe seeing delays, that's the risk management in action. And without a structured approach, things get messy. Like we know that. Just like traveling without an itinerary or budget, you might end up there in your destination, reach your goal eventually, but not without a lot of wasted time and resources, which we want to avoid. There are also some simple but important points about project itself, not project management, but project itself. A project is temporary and unique. Like it has a defined start and end. Like example, developing a new mobile app. Project is goal oriented, like delivers a specific outcome. Example, organizing an annual company event. Project requires planning and resources. It needs a roadmap that I actually showed as an example, a trip destination. It can be a roadmap. It needs a budget and a team. And there are also some things that project is not. Like project is not ongoing, repetitive work, routine tasks or operations. For instance, running daily customer support is not a project. Unstructured ideas without a timeline is not a project. This is just like a vague initiative without clear goals.
The operations, yes, day to day.
Yes. Thank you. And project is not a one-person job. Large-scale projects require collaboration, stakeholders, of course, and structured execution. And why I'm telling these points, of course, there are many more, but it's important to understand what is project before going to the project phases. For instance, some people cannot differentiate project and program, or as Nijat mentioned, operations. Maybe someone from the audience actually would like to explain it to others. What is the difference between project and program? If someone is willing to, of course.
I think you can continue. You're a small team.
Okay. A project is a temporary effort with a specific goal, while a program is actually a collection of related projects managed together for strategic benefit or aim, okay? Like project is like one temporary effort, but program itself could have a lot of related projects within itself. So this is the main difference. And here we have like, how does project management actually work in practice? It follows a structured process, and we have here 5 key phases. But you can see in different sources different interpretations, so it doesn't matter. They all have the same goal. Firstly, initiation. This is where we define the project's purpose and feasibility. Like questions we ask, what problem are we solving, or problems? Is this project like worth even doing? This phase ensures we don't waste time on unnecessary projects. We have to clear our mind and goals first. In the planning phase, this is the blueprint phase. We map out the project scope, schedule, risks, and resources. This phase is where business analysts actually play a huge role as well in defining clear requirements and ensuring realistic planning, working with clear strategic communication. We will explain a bit later. And execution, this is where the real work happens. Teams collaborate, tasks are completed, and progress should be tracked. And monitoring and controlling. this is my favorite part. Even the best plans need adjustments. This phase ensures we are staying on track by measuring progress, risks, managing risks, and making corrections as needed. You cannot leave your project alone and expect it to be succeeded. And lastly, closure of the project. This is where we always evaluate what went well, what didn't, and document lessons learned for future projects. Sometimes maybe you also observe teams rush into the next project without reflecting on past experiences, losing valuable insights that actually could prevent future mistakes or even risks. As business analysts, I mentioned a while ago in planning and monitoring phase, your influence is the strongest in that phase because helping teams anticipate challenges, validate business needs, and ensure alignment between strategy and execution. This is an important phase, and you play the major role here, let's say. But as we all know, even the best project plans can fall apart if risks aren't managed, and that's what we'll dive into soon. This is my favorite part: managing the risks.
Just to note, as in some let's say resources and the websites or the books, so they show it as the first initiations and plannings and executions and monitorings and closure. I gave a PMP exam as well, so PMP certified. Sometimes we can see there as well as a let's say perception of the order of these phrases like this, but in reality, it's not like this. In the projects that monitoring last happen or closures and we close, because they we can say that they almost change. They always change, and you can have some planning work, like let's say in the middle of the project as well, or you can do a monitoring starting from the first days of the project as well. So I'm adding one video here that you can watch later about this. It's about the PM book related phrases. You can watch that, and Ricardo Vargas shows that it's not always like as an order. You go in one direction from initiation to closure, but in reality, it really changed inside of the project. Just my
I
adding.
completely agree. I completely agree with Nijat because even though there are some solid structures, you should always think about your project, your team, and restructure it accordingly. So this is really beneficial. Thank you so much, Nijat. And also, probably you heard many times there are famous project management approaches, which we cannot cover in this session. Even like each approach needs a separate session. But I would like to give an overview because it's about project management and we cannot talk without agile and waterfall. So firstly, let's approach it simply. Waterfall is like building a house. You plan everything first, then execute. You plan everything about the project, then execute. Agile is like cooking a new recipe. You adjust ingredients as you go, as you process the cooking. But if we look at definite definitions, the real ones, let's say, waterfall is like a linear approach where each project phase is completed before moving to the next. But agile is more flexible, not even more flexible, like absolutely flexible approach that delivers work in small increments, adapts to changes, and prioritize. But this is very important. This is the main part. Prioritize customer feedback for continuous improvement. That's why actually most of the time clients prefer agile because they want to be involved. They want to give feedback as they go on, as they develop the project. And here, this image is not generated by me. I found it on Google, but I wanted to add because it's really helpful instead of creating one myself. Because this explains actually choosing between agile and waterfall depends on the unique needs of your project. It's actually the same thing Nijat mentioned before as well. Each project has their own unique needs. If your requirements are clear and fixed, Waterfall provides a structured, step-by-step approach. However, if flexibility is key and changes are expected, Agile is the way to go. Because Agile thrives on continuous client involvement, as we mentioned, making it ideal for more complex projects. But Waterfall suites, like, it's straightforward solution with strict deadlines and budgets. We have to mention that. So the key is understanding your project's demands and selecting the right approach to drive success, let's say. But that's for this session. That's all I would like to give. I wanted to give some overview about Agile and Waterfall so we could understand the uniqueness of each approach. Finally, we are here. Risk management. Maybe this question would be interesting for you to answer. Could you please tell me, but I'm not asking like in terms of project management or risk management, just for you. What is risk for you? What do you understand when you say risk? You can also write in the chat section.
It's like uncertainty. It's just you cannot just predict.
Very good.
Unknown part, uncertainty, unknown part. But let's not take it as a negative. We can take it as a positive as well, positive risk as well.
Very, very good point. Very good point. Okay.
Uncertainty event, yeah.
Yes, a risk is an uncertain event that, if it happens, can impact project objectives. But Nijat mentioned very interesting thing, so it pops actually up a question in my mind. Do you think risk impacts the objectives positively or negatively? I wanted to talk about it actually myself, but now the question is good. Okay.
Depends on risk.
Yeah, sure.
And by the way, I like the examples that sometimes negative can be positive, turn to positive as well. So it really depends.
We actually have a word for it in risk management, which I will explain. So I agree with Nijat. They can be positive.
Oh.
They can impact projects' objectives, either positively or negatively. Yes, there are positive risks too. And in risk management, actually, we call them opportunities. So whenever you join a company, and maybe you're not in risk management team, but you're a risk focal point who actually reports about the risks to the risk management team, you will call them like risks and opportunities, because opportunities are also risks if you don't take them. So this is the approach in risk management. Some common negative things in projects. Scope creep. Like endless change requests. All the time a new request is coming. Technical failures, you know what is it? Budget overruns, stakeholder conflicts. These can be examples for negative risks. And positive risks, a new technology that speeds up delivery. Like a new technology came up and you didn't take this opportunity. Now you fell behind. Your other companies are using this opportunity, but you're not. So this is a risk. Market demand increasing for your product, but you're not taking, again, this opportunity. This is a risk for your product, for your project. I hope this is clear. What's the difference? And here, now, actually, before talking about this phase cycle, I would like to say that the challenge is how to manage these risks before they become problems. But this is the easiest way to explain. We don't want problems. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. That's where the risk management cycle comes in. Now here, managing risks isn't about eliminating the risk. This is another thing that people confuse most of the time. We are not eliminating any risk. We cannot do it. It's there. It's about preparing for the risk. The risk management cycle has 4 key steps here: identifying the risks, by the way, it's also something that you can see different versions online in different places, but this is the main one I see everywhere. First, identifying risks. What could go wrong or right, like opportunity. Second phase in the cycle, analyzing and prioritizing. What's the impact? Is it high, medium, low, disastrous? You can decide and analyze and decide. And you can prioritize accordingly. And the next phase is responding and mitigating, which all the operations are happening in this phase. This is where proactive and reactive treatments come in, which I will explain what are they. What's the best strategy? Should we avoid it, mitigate it, or transfer to someone in higher position? Here, what we do everything. And lastly, monitoring and adjusting. Because even you treated your risk, you're like, oh, finally, it's done. It's not done. Risk is something alive. Risks evolve. So you should keep track and always adapt to the risk as it develops. And here I put an example, like imagine a project where a key software vendor might delay delivery. If identified early, you can plan a backup provider, which is mitigation, or adjust your project timelines yourself. Like you're not changing anything in the opposite side, you're adjusting your plans to the risk. This is acceptance. But if you ignore, this small risk could derail the entire project. So that's why I wanted to put this example here. And now business analysts in risk management. And firstly, who contribute to this cycle? In every organization, it can be a company or an organization, because it's always enterprise risk management. It doesn't matter if it's humanitarian, if it's like a big company. Risk management should not be an afterthought. It should be an integral function supported by a dedicated risk management team or focal points, as I mentioned before. Like it should have a department, a team. But there is a key. It's not only their responsibility. Risk is everyone's responsibility, all the teams. Even the best risk managers cannot identify every potential issue if departments, for instance, you as business analysts, do not report risk on time. And without a well-maintained risk register, which I will also explain soon, but it's basically a document where you report all the risks. It's a simple document.
Or we don't review them frequently.
Yes.
Some risks can be mitigated, or later we can maybe only accept it. It can change as well. They should be monitored as well.
Exactly. Let's imagine a project team ignores early sign of a security flaw in software. I don't understand much of IT stuff, but let's say software. I hope it's correct, Nijat. Security flaw should be in software. No, it's possible to have. If unreported, it may turn into a high-risk crisis, like leading to both financial and also, most importantly, this is the most important risk, reputational damage, which is the worst one since it damages the reputation of your company and the stakeholders. This is why each team must proactively identify, document, review, as Nijat mentioned, and escalate risks so that risk managers can take early action rather than like firefighting later when it happens, which is also a solution, but it's better to do proactive treatments rather than reactive ones. Now, where the sorry?
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Now, where do analysts fit into this? The truth is actually, you're already risk managers. You just don't always realize it. You have a unique position because you analyze data trends, spot potential issues early. You engage stakeholders, like ensure risks are communicated and addressed. And in the phases I mentioned, communication is the key to risk management. You improve decision making, like provide insights that you gathered during your own work process, let's say, to reduce uncertainty. So you really play a huge role, and you should always realize it. And you always, I hope after this session, at least, you will have this risk manager mindset all the time, trying to spot risks here and there. especially after I mentioned the proactive and reactive risk treatments. In the next slide. Yes. Here, as you see, we have proactive and reactive ones. Proactive risk treatments are for preventing or decreasing the chances of problems before they happen. Sometimes I will call risks problems. It's just to make it easier to understand. Identifying risks early, implementing mitigation strategies early before it happens. Reactive risk treatments are solving problems after they happen, like addressing risks after they occur, damage control strategies, this kind of things. And when do we use that? Proactive is ideal, but not always possible. To be honest, it's not always possible. Reactive is absolutely necessary. We don't have any other choice. When unexpected risks arise, or if it's something we thought of before, we added in our risk register, it doesn't matter. If it happens, we have to do reactive treatment. And here you can see some examples, scenarios, let's say, to understand which one is proactive, which one is reactive. Installing security software before a cyber attack. The keyword is before. It means you're just doing a proactive treatment so it wouldn't happen. If it happens, you have something like security software, something like this. Investigating a financial loss after fraud happens. It's reactive because fraud already happened. Now you're trying to deal with it. You're trying to solve this problem. And others you can see from the screen. I will not read all of them, but I will challenge you. Here we have some scenarios, which I would like you to decide which one is proactive, which one is reactive. Maybe Aysu can start. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you would like to.
Yeah, the first one looks like proactive.
Exactly. Could you please say, like, if you want to, why it's proactive?
Yeah, because you're trying to avoid, like, you are trying to do something before it happens. So it looks like much more like the proactive one.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Muhammad, do you want to continue?
I think second one is reactive.
That's correct. Would you like to say why, or?
Because it's in deploying animation attack force after customer data leak. Because it not happened yet. Emergency task force.
You're absolutely right that it's reactive, but the key here is it's after, like it happens.
Yes, after.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
it's after. Yes.
Yes.
I'm
I'm
sorry. Yes, it happened. Yeah, I confess this. It happened after this. It's because reactive.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. That works like that. And I'm not sure if Zohrab wants to join. I've never heard him, but Zohrab, if you agree, next one is yours. If not, Nijat. I'm putting Nijat on the spot.
Okay, so me. Conducting earthquake drills in high-risk zones. It's proactive probably because high-risk zones, so there's no earthquake now, but
exactly, that's correct. Thank you so much. And next one, investing in quality testing to minimize product defects. Anyone would like to go for this one?
Yes, it's proactive. I guess because you are doing the assurance test in order to prevent the possible defects in the future.
That's correct. Minimizing the product defects. That's the key part. Thank you so much, Aysu.
And fixing product defects.
So
it already happened.
Yes.
And I want to add one thing here, and even the big corp where I work now, the processes, operations, I mean, mainly now operations that I see they are divided into two types, proactive and reactive. So in reality, even in the big corp, the processes are divided into categories. So even we are asked several times to identify if they are proactive or reactive, or if you identified their calculations or their approaches, their work are different. And the reporting are different because one is a proactive and the reactive. And I remember, and now I'm mainly working as a manager, but when I was SME a year ago, when I reported our performance, our team performance, there was a categories that in the spreadsheet divided to the reactive and proactive tasks, and their reportings were different, and their metrics were different as well. So in reality, in the work in the abroad, I don't know in your company if it's divided or not to that categories, but in the big corp, I saw it. I saw it. It's really the case, and companies pay attention to it.
That's really insightful, Ninja. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's right on the place about our topic. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have 3 more scenarios which are a bit funnier.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, one for each. Let's go.
yes. For instance, let's say you're working in a use network. You're like doing a small info session, printing extra name badges for a conference because people always forget theirs or for the info session. What it could be? What is it? Proactive or reactive?
I think it's reactive.
But we know that people always forget theirs, but we are printing in advance.
It didn't
Proactive?
happen yet, but it
No.
might be.
Yes. And this is good that we think in advance in a risk manager mindset that it could happen, and we do always extra. And second one, canceling a project only after realizing the budget is completely spent.
Reactive.
Yes, unfortunately. Organizing an emergency team building event because half of the team just quit.
Reactive problem.
It's
It
pro
can be,
react.
yeah.
Sorry?
Reactive.
Proactive. It could be proactive because you're just trying to eliminate the possible risks in the future. I mean, like there are people just left the company, but there could be more. So you're trying to prevent the more.
Yes. Actually, this is logical. Team leader can think that I somehow killed the team spirit, and that's why I'm doing reactive treatment to do it by doing this team building activity. But also, if we focus on the people that remained in the company, this is a proactive treatment for them, so they wouldn't leave in the future. So this is a really logical approach. Thank you, Aisu. Here we have like some big words, but don't worry, I'm not gonna go through all of them because the most important one here, these are the tools and techniques for risk managers. I put in the title, but just in case, risk management. And the first one is risk register that I talked about. Think of this as the risk like to-do list. It's a simple document where we list all the identified risks, describe their impact, and track how we are addressing them. Without it, risks can be like forgotten or ignored. So you have to put everything, and this document should be like alive. It should be like updated all the time, reviewed all the time. There is no ending for this document. There is no like a phase that, okay, ended, report. There is no such thing. Risk register is alive. You all the time update, and risk managers review and give you feedback. And your team, there are different like approaches in each team. Some teams use some kind of like labels or categories. If it's disastrous, what's the level? Like you can decide. This is really like different for each team. But main point is to have this risk register. SWOT analysis, it's probably known to you, especially as project managers or analysts. This stands for strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. It's a method used to analyze both internal and external risks. For example, actually risk register also it's for both internal and external risks. I forgot to mention. For example, a company might have strong technology, it's a strength, but face regulatory change, government changed something. This is a threat, or the company changed something in the regulations. This is a threat. And the risk matrix, stakeholder risk mapping, these are other tools, but they're not widely used, I would say. I think risk register and SWOT analysis are the main ones to track the risks and opportunities. And in this slide is a bit crowded, sorry, but this is the slide I showed you in project management part, the key phases of the project management. And now I would like to actually connect it to the risks. Let's go phase by phase and highlight the most common risks we need to watch out in each phase. Initiation. Project objectives are unclear, leading to misalignment. Or legal or regulatory non-compliance, leading to project shutdowns. In planning phase, it can be underestimation of time, budget, or resources. It can cause delays or cost overruns. Scope is too broad, let's say, or unidentified in the planning phase. This makes execution difficult. And in execution phase itself, defective or low quality deliverables, this cause like rework, all the time loss and everything. External disruption can be here a risk. Market shift, supplier failure, new regulations affecting the progress itself. And in the monitoring and controlling phase, poor stakeholder communication. We always in this phase, like as you saw in every slide I mentioned, in this phase, communication is the key. So creating misalignment, this can be the result of this risk. KPIs or milestones not met, milestones not met, causing budget or schedule slippage or change or wasting budget can be any result. And in the closure phase, unresolved risks from earlier phases, like we just avoided, we thought that it will be solved. It's okay. Risk management team will deal with it, and create operational issues. And poor documentation of lessons learned, missing improvement opportunities, and again, waste of time. Because even if the project is unsuccessful, lessons learned is really important for the next project. And here, confidence, the mindset shift. At the heart of all these mindsets, managing risk isn't just about tools and frameworks. It's about developing a proactive mindset, like proactive treatments, exactly. Confident teams usually, they expect uncertainty. They know that uncertainty is there. It doesn't matter how well I planned. And you don't fear it. You actually also plan for uncertainty. You plan for the project and you also plan for the uncertainty. Confident teams also communicate risks early. Transparency prevents surprises. You should always be in communication and you should always update the risk register. Even though you don't know how to work on risk register, you can just drop a message. So let's like put everything aside. You can drop a message to your risk focal point or the risk management department, or if you don't have such thing and you know that all the responsibility is on you to manage risk, you should think of taking action. Or we mentioned before, transferring the risk someone higher than you. I mean, in terms of position. So you know that you reported, you communicated about that. And confident teams, finally, they focus on solutions, not just problems. This means the reactive treatment itself. Like, let's say it happened, it's okay. You have to focus on the solution. And when you shift from the reactive firefighting, I like this phrase, to proactive risk management, you become a more valuable asset to your team. And that's how you navigate like uncertainty with confidence. This is what I mean in terms of mindset shift. And lastly, before Q&A, actually, I will just keep this slide, but let's recap that as analysts, you play a critical role in project management and also in risk management phase of the projects or the organization or the company. Risk is inevitable, but how we handle it determines success or failure by using the right tools, the mindset, because as I mentioned before, you can be like, I don't know how to use the tools. It doesn't matter. Be communicative, spot it on time and report it on time. With this way, we can navigate uncertainty with confidence. And before we wrap up, here's one action step for you. But this is like a mindset you should always have in your mind in future projects, whatever you do. Think about a past project where risk wasn't managed well. Maybe you were just member of the project, or you were like watching a project manager's team from a side, and you saw that risk wasn't managed very well. What could have been done differently? Like, how will you apply this in your next project? Or how would you maybe advise them? Always
Can we
have,
use AI? Can we use AI?
of course, why not?
Okay.
Of course, AI is useful in every phase, so you can always use AI. Ask ChatGPT, what can I do in this phase, or
Okay,
something like
good.
this. So now, actually, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's open the floor for questions.